The crystalline walls of the Galactic Council chamber stretched upward for what seemed like forever. Elena Voss stood on the central platform, her small frame barely reaching the shoulder of Ambassador Marcus Thorne beside her. Around them, the containment field hummed with energy. A transparent prison that held Earth's 5-person delegation in the heart of the galaxy's most powerful governing body above and around them. Thousands of alien beings filled the tiered seating. Some resembled massive insects with chittering mandibles. Others were clouds of sentient gas contained in force fields. Serpentine creatures coiled around crystalline perches. Beings made of living rock sat motionless in corners. The sheer diversity of life forms made Elena's head spin, but she kept her expression neutral. Show no weakness. That had been her training. The Council Archon dominated the chamber's highest point. It stood 40 feet tall, its body constructed from liquid metal that flowed and reformed constantly. When it spoke, the voice resonated through every surface, making the human's bones vibrate. Humanity has petitioned for membership in the Galactic Federation, the Archon announced. The flowing metal of its form rippled with each word. We have reviewed your species across 5 solar cycles, your technological level, your social structures, your military capabilities, your cultural achievements. Marcus stepped forward slightly, his diplomatic smile firmly in place. We appreciate the thorough evaluation, honored Archon. Earth looks forward to contributing to the galactic community. The Archon's form shifted, and what might have been a face turned toward them. Your petition is denied. Silence fell across the vast chamber. Then, like a wave, alien sounds erupted. Clicks, whistles, roars, harmonic tones that hurt human ears. It took Elena a moment to realize they were laughing. Furthermore, the Archon continued, its voice cutting through the noise, your expansion beyond your home system has been deemed aggressive and unwelcome. Your colony on Kepler 442b encroaches on established territorial boundaries. You have 1 stellar cycle to evacuate all human presence beyond Earth's solar system, or face extermination protocols. Elena felt Marcus tense beside her. The ambassador's diplomatic training held, but barely. Honored Archon, we came here in good faith. Humanity deserves. The word came from above. A serpentine creature, easily 60 feet long, uncoiled from an upper tier. Its scales reflected starlight from the chamber's transparent ceiling. You are infants playing with fusion drives. Your species learned to split the atom mere centuries ago. My people mastered interstellar travel when your ancestors were hunting animals with pointed sticks. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Elena's hand rested near the ornate blade at her hip. It looked ancient, ceremonial, out of place in a room filled with energy weapons and gravitational field generators. Several nearby alien guards noticed her movement and shifted position, their own weapons humming to life. You must understand your position, humans, the Archon said, leaning forward. The temperature in the chamber dropped noticeably. The Galactic Council has maintained order across 10,000 civilizations for millennia. We do not need your permission. We do not require your agreement. You will comply with our directive, or you will be removed. A new figure emerged from the lower tiers. It walked on 4 legs, its body covered in armor-like plates. When it spoke, its voice was a deep rumble. I am General Vok of the Drakmor Imperium. Perhaps you should know that my fleet is already positioned at your solar system's boundary. 300 warships. We were going to wait for the Council's official order, but I see no reason for secrecy now. Leave your colonies, or we will sterilize your homeworld and take them anyway. The guards around the human delegation shifted into tighter formation. Marcus's face had gone pale, but he kept his voice steady. Threatening Earth is an act of war. War? Vok's laugh sounded like grinding stone. You cannot wage war against the galaxy, human. You are nothing. Your entire military could not defeat a single Council enforcement fleet. We have crushed rebellions from species far more advanced than yours. Elena finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, but it carried perfectly through the chamber's acoustics. You said you've crushed stronger species. Perhaps you should have asked, what makes humanity different before issuing threats? The laughter stopped. The Archon's flowing form stilled, becoming solid for the first time since the hearing began. Explain yourself, human. Marcus glanced at Elena, confused. This wasn't part of their prepared statements. Elena had been brought along as security, nothing more. Her genetic condition made her one of the most fragile humans in the delegation. She looked like she might break if the gravity increased by even a fraction. Yet now she stood straight, meeting the Archon's gaze without flinching. Earth prepared for this meeting carefully, Elena said. We studied the Council's history, your methods, your patterns. You evaluate species based on technological advancement along predictable lines. Faster ships, stronger weapons, bigger explosions. But humanity learned something valuable in our history. Sometimes the most effective weapons are the ones your enemy doesn't expect. Bach stomped one massive foot. Is this a threat? Do you see that blade at your side? We stopped using primitive melee weapons 10,000 years ago. You carry a sword to a gathering of beings who can vaporize planets. This is why your species will never matter in galactic affairs. You cling to obsolete traditions. Elena's hand moved to her sword's hilt. Every guard in the chamber raised their weapons. Energy crackled through the air. Marcus grabbed her arm. Elena, don't. She ignored him. General Vok, you mentioned your personal shield earlier. The one that can withstand ship-grade plasma cannons. Vok's armor plates shifted in what might have been a smile. Indeed, it has protected me through 47 campaigns. Nothing your species possesses could scratch it. Would you be willing to demonstrate? Elena asked. The Archon's form rippled. This is highly irregular. Let her try, Vok said, his confidence absolute. Let these humans see what they face. Perhaps it will save lives when they realize resistance is futile. He activated his shield. A shimmering barrier enveloped his massive form, distorting the air around him. Strike me, human. Use your decorative blade. Show the Council your species' might. Marcus activated a quantum communication device hidden in his uniform. 3 words transmitted to Earth. Protocol Ember authorized. Elena drew her sword. The moment the blade cleared its sheath, every energy sensor in the Council chamber exploded. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Emergency lights activated, then failed. The chamber plunged into darkness, broken only by the faint glow of bioluminescent species. And in that darkness, Alana's sword ignited. But not with fire, not with plasma or contained energy. The blade seemed to tear reality itself, bleeding darkness into light, creating a glow that sensors couldn't track and eyes couldn't quite focus on. The weapon existed and didn't exist simultaneously, a paradox made physical. The Archon's voice cut through the stunned silence. What is that? Elena's response was calm, measured, terrifying in its certainty. This is what happens when a species that everyone underestimates decides to never be vulnerable again. You wanted a demonstration of humanity's worth, honored Archon. You're looking at it. She took one step toward Vok, just one. The general's shield flickered, then vanished. Not shattered, not overpowered. It simply ceased to exist, as if it had never been activated at all. Vok stumbled backward, all 4 legs scrambling for purchase. For the first time in his military career, General Vok of the Drakmor Imperium felt fear. Elena sheathed her sword, and the impossible light vanished. Emergency power restored the chamber's lighting. Every alien representative stared at the small, frail-looking human woman standing calmly in the containment field. "Now then," she said softly, "shall we discuss Earth's position in galactic affairs again?" The council chamber remained silent for 3 full seconds after Elena sheathed her sword. 3 seconds where 10,000 civilizations held their collective breath. Then chaos erupted. Security breach. Unknown energy signature. Someone shouted from the upper tiers. Alarms wailed through the vast space. Holographic displays flickered to life around the Archon, showing sensor data that made no sense. The readings indicated Elena's weapon had briefly ceased to exist while simultaneously occupying 17 different dimensional states. Marcus found his voice first. "Honored Council, my colleague has demonstrated that Earth's technology may not align with your expectations. Perhaps we should revisit the terms of our discussion." The Archon's liquid metal form solidified completely, becoming a statue of incomprehension. "Explain that weapon, immediately." Elena remained calm, her small frame belying the authority in her voice. While the galaxy advanced along conventional paths, creating bigger explosions and faster ships, humanity took a different approach. We studied the fundamental nature of reality itself. This blade doesn't cut through matter. It temporarily removes the space that matter occupies. Your shields, General Vok, defend against energy and physical force. They cannot defend against something that makes the concept of defense irrelevant. A new voice spoke from the mid-tiers. Ambassador Torin of the Kellish ITY, a species that resembled crystalline birds, stepped forward. "The Council has strict regulations regarding dimensional weapons. They were banned after the Cascade Wars 3,000 years ago." "We're not members of your council," Marcus pointed out. "Your regulations don't apply to Earth." "Then we will make them apply," the Archon declared. "How many of these weapons does humanity possess?" Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Enough." The serpentine delegate from earlier slithered closer to the containment field's edge. "You cannot threaten the entire Galactic Council. One weapon, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against our combined might." "You're right," Elena agreed. "One weapon can't. That's why we didn't bring just one." She tapped a control on her wrist. Throughout the council station, every human presence suddenly became visible on the main holographic display. Maintenance workers, trade representatives, students who had come to study alien cultures, tourists visiting the galactic capital. Over 2,000 humans scattered across the massive station. And every single one of them stood still, hands resting on identical sword hilts. "Did you really think," Elena asked quietly, "that I was special? That I was your only threat?" General Vok had retreated to his original position, his 4 legs still unsteady. "This is an invasion force. You came here armed for war. We came here prepared," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference. Earth's history taught us a valuable lesson. Hope for peace, but prepare for violence. The galaxy proved we were right to prepare." The Archon's voice carried a note of something new. Uncertainty. "You planned this. The petition for membership. The appearance of weakness. All of it was designed to make us underestimate you." "Not entirely," Marcus admitted. "We genuinely hoped the Council would accept us peacefully. But we're not naive. We studied your history. 37 emerging civilizations petitioned for membership in the last millennium. You accepted 6. The rest were either denied and restricted to their home systems, or they refused your terms and were eliminated. We decided humanity would not be number 38. A vote was called. The holographic displays showed the Council's internal debate. Some species advocated for immediate military action. Others urged caution. The Kellish Unity representative Torin spoke passionately about reconsidering humanity's application. Several other mid-tier species joined the call, but the hardliners won. The Archon announced the decision. The Drakmor fleet will proceed with enforcement action. Humanity has 48 standard hours to begin evacuation of all extrasolar colonies. This is not negotiable. Marcus activated another control. The main display shifted, showing a live feed from deep space near Earth's solar system. The Drakmor fleet hung in the darkness, 300 warships arrayed in attack formation. The image zoomed past them, focusing on Earth's moon. "That's a beautiful view," Marcus said conversationally. "Earth's moon has been the subject of poetry and art for millennia in our culture. We used to think ancient civilizations worshipped it as a goddess. Your nostalgia is irrelevant," Vok growled. "I'm not being nostalgic," Marcus replied. "I'm being informative. Because that's not actually our moon anymore." On the display, Earth's moon split open. The gray surface peeled back in perfectly engineered sections, revealing a hollow interior filled with weapons platforms. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Each one glowing with the same reality-warping energy as Elena's sword. The council chamber fell silent again. This time, the silence lasted much longer. "Project Lunar Shield," Marcus explained. "We've been building it for 70 years. The moon's core was removed and relocated. The hollowed interior became the largest defensive installation in human history. Every weapon you see there can do exactly what Elena's sword did to General Vok's shield. They can remove targets from existence. Not destroy them. Remove them." Admiral Katya Volkov's voice crackled through the communication channel, broadcast across all frequencies. "Drakmor Fleet, this is Earth Defense Station Luna. You have violated our territorial space with hostile intent. You have 40 seconds to begin retreat protocols." Vok's voice boomed through the chamber. "Fleet Command, this is General Vok. Ignore that transmission. Engage and destroy the human homeworld. Show them the price of defiance." The Drakmor fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams lanced toward Earth, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. On the Council's display, it looked like a wave of light. Beautiful and terrible. Luna Station fired back. Not with a wave, with precision. Each weapons platform targeted a single Drakmor ship. The beams of impossible energy crossed the distance instantly, and where they struck, ships didn't explode. They vanished. 300 warships simply ceased to occupy that space. One moment they existed. The next, they were gone. Not even debris left behind. The communication channel crackled again. Admiral Volkov's voice remained calm. "Targets removed. Drakmor vessels have been displaced into a dimensional pocket. They're not destroyed, General Vok. They're trapped. Whether we retrieve them or leave them there permanently depends entirely on the Council's next decision." Elena walked to the edge of the containment field. The guards didn't stop her. They were too busy staring at the display, showing where 300 warships used to be. "You called humanity weak," she said. "You called us primitive. You ordered us to abandon our homes or face extermination. But here's what you failed to understand. We're not strong because we're warriors. We're strong because we survived. Earth has been through ice ages, plagues, world wars, and near-extinction events. Every time we adapted. Every time we became harder to kill." The Archon's form had begun flowing again, metal rippling with what might have been distress. "You've made your point, have we?" Marcus asked. "Because I'm not sure we have. You still seem to think this is about intimidation. It's not. This is about survival. About ensuring that no one ever threatens Earth again." Torin spoke up, her crystalline voice ringing clear. "The Council must reconsider. Humanity has demonstrated capabilities that change the balance of power. We cannot simply ignore this. We should destroy them now, the Serpentine delegate hissed. Before they grow stronger. With what? Elena asked simply. Your fleet is occupied elsewhere. The Drakmor warships are gone. Luna Station remains fully operational. And you still don't know what other surprises humanity has prepared. The Archon seemed to sag, its liquid metal form drooping slightly. What do you want? Marcus straightened. Recognition as a sovereign power. Freedom to expand within unclaimed space. And most importantly, a guarantee that Earth will never face Council enforcement action again. Impossible, the Archon said. That would make you equals to species who have earned their positions over millennia. Then, Elena said quietly, you'd better activate your judgment fleet, because humanity will not back down. The council chamber dissolved into arguments. Species shouted at each other across the tiers. Ancient alliances fractured. New ones began to form. And at the center of it all, 5 humans stood calmly. Knowing that the galaxy would never be the same. The arguments raged for 3 hours. Elena stood motionless in the containment field, her legs aching but her expression betraying nothing. Marcus had tried to get her to sit, but she refused. Show no weakness. Not now, when everything depended on perception. Finally, the Archon called for order. The noise subsided gradually, like a tide retreating. This council has endured for 5,000 years because we maintain strict hierarchies. Species are evaluated, ranked, and integrated based on established criteria. You cannot simply threaten your way to equality. We're not threatening, Marcus replied. We're demonstrating reality. Earth is not asking permission anymore. We're informing you of how things will be. A new figure descended from the upper chambers. It floated rather than walked, its body composed of what looked like living crystal that refracted light into rainbow patterns. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. I am Prime Counselor Vex of the Talnari Collective. We have remained neutral in galactic politics for 800 years, observing rather than participating. But this situation requires comment. The Archon's form stiffened. The Talnari were ancient, powerful, and notoriously difficult to read. Their intervention could shift everything. Humanity has exposed a fundamental flaw in our system, Vex continued. We assumed technological advancement would follow predictable patterns. We assumed emerging species would seek our approval, our guidance. Humanity has proven both assumptions wrong. The question now is not whether they have the power to resist us. Clearly they do. The question is what kind of galaxy we want to live in. One where order is maintained, the Archon insisted. Where chaos is prevented. Where emerging species don't threaten established powers. And yet, Vex's crystalline form pulsed with light. Established powers are the ones who threatened humanity first. They came here seeking peaceful integration. We denied them and ordered them to abandon their homes. General Vok positioned a fleet for invasion before negotiations even concluded. Who exactly is the threat in this scenario? Vok's armored plates rattled. We were following Standard Enforcement P. Protocols. Protocols designed when the galaxy was different, Vex said. When younger species had no choice but to accept council terms. Humanity has changed that calculation. We can either adapt to this new reality, or we can face endless conflict with a species that has already demonstrated they will not submit. Elena decided it was time to reveal the next layer. She activated a holographic projector built into her sword's hilt. The display showed a star map of the galaxy. 12 points glowed bright red across the map, scattered throughout council space. Those are humanity's 12 colony worlds, she explained. At least, that's what your intelligence reports claim. The map shifted. The 12 red points remained, but they began to move. Slowly at first, then faster, following orbital patterns that made no sense for planetary bodies. Your intelligence was partially correct, Elena continued. We do have 12 colonies, but they're not planets. They're world ships, artificial constructs, each one the size of a small moon, capable of sustained faster-than-light travel. We built them over the last 80 years while the galaxy ignored us. Each world ship contains a complete human ecosystem, manufacturing facilities, and yes, military assets equivalent to a full Council armada. The Archon's voice rose. Impossible. Such construction would require resources beyond your capabilities. Our economic models show Earth lacks the industrial capacity. Your economic models are based on incomplete data, Marcus said. You tracked Earth's official trade and resource extraction. You didn't account for the asteroid mining operations we've been running for decades, or the automated factories we built in deep space, far from your sensors. We've been preparing for this meeting for a very long time. Torin of the Kellish Unity studied the display. If these vessels are mobile, they could theoretically position themselves anywhere in the galaxy. Theoretically, Elena agreed. And practically, 3 of our world ships are currently within striking distance of the Council's primary shipyards. 2 more are near your main trade hubs. The rest are scattered to ensure coverage across all major sectors. The serpentine delegate scales darken to a deep purple. This is military posturing of the highest order. You're holding the galaxy's economy hostage. We're ensuring mutual safety, Marcus corrected. You can't threaten Earth without consequences. We can't threaten you without consequences. That's not hostage-taking. That's called deterrence. It's a concept humans mastered centuries ago during our Cold War period. General Vok had been silent since his fleet disappeared. Now he spoke, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. You speak of deterrence, but you've already attacked us. My ships are trapped in some dimensional prison. That is an act of war. Your ships were preparing to sterilize Earth, Elena reminded him. They fired first. Luna Station responded to a direct attack on human territory. If you want to call that war, fine. But know that you started it, and we're prepared to finish it. The Archon raised one metallic hand. The chamber fell silent immediately. Humanity has made its position clear. You have weapons. You have defensive capabilities. You have demonstrated tactical superiority in specific engagements. But you remain one species against thousands. A prolonged conflict would destroy you. Perhaps, Marcus acknowledged, but it would damage you far more than you're willing to admit. Your economy depends on stable trade routes. Your political structure depends on the appearance of absolute authority. We can disrupt both, not through sustained warfare, but through strategic strikes that prove the Council is not invincible. How many species do you think would reconsider their loyalty once they see humans operate freely, despite your threats? Torin's crystalline form chimed with resonance. The ambassador speaks truth. My species has long felt constrained by Council regulations that favor established powers. If humanity can resist, others will wonder why they cannot. The Archon's empire of order depends on compliance. Once that compliance becomes optional, the entire structure weakens. This is sedition, the Serpentine delegate hissed. Torin, you speak of betraying the Council. I speak of reality, Torin countered. The Kellish Unity has contributed resources and warriors to Council causes for 700 years. What have we received in return? Limited expansion rights, trade restrictions, veto power over our internal affairs. We've become comfortable in our chains because we were told no alternative existed. Humanity just offered us an alternative. The Archon's form began to pulse with light, a sign of extreme agitation. This session will adjourn for 6 hours while the senior Council members deliberate. Humanity's delegation will remain in the containment field during this time. That won't be necessary, Alina said quietly. She tapped her sword hilt again. Throughout the station, the 2,000 humans moved as one. Not toward the council chamber, but to predetermined positions throughout the station's critical infrastructure. Power plants, life support systems, communication arrays, docking bays. What are you doing? The Archon demanded. Ensuring fair negotiations, Marcus replied. Our people won't interfere with station operations unless you try something aggressive. But they're positioned to do so if needed. We're not prisoners anymore, honored Archon. We're participants in a dialogue between equals. The containment field flickered, but didn't drop. The Archon lacked the authority to make that decision unilaterally. The council would have to vote. Alina felt her legs trembling. The genetic condition that had plagued her since childhood was flaring up under the stress. But she couldn't show it. Not yet. Marcus noticed and shifted positions slightly, allowing her to lean against him without being obvious. 6 hours, the Archon repeated. Then we will present our response. As the chamber began to empty, Vex the Talnari floated past the human delegation. Its crystalline form pulsed with a pattern that Elena's translator couldn't quite interpret. But the words were clear enough. You've started something that cannot be stopped. I hope humanity is ready for what comes next. Elena watched the ancient being float away. She hoped so too, because for the first time in 5,000 years, the Galactic Council was genuinely afraid. And fear made even the wisest beings do terrible things. Marcus leaned close and whispered, Did we push too hard? Elena's response was barely audible. We'll find out in 6 hours. The 6 hours passed like 6 years. The containment field remained active, though its intensity had decreased slightly. Elena sat now, her pride finally surrendering to her body's limitations. Marcus stood beside her, projecting strength for both of them. The other 3 members of Earth's delegation, military advisors who had remained silent throughout the proceedings, formed a protective circle. When the council reconvened, the atmosphere had changed. The jeering, dismissive attitude was gone, replaced by cold calculation. The Archon took its position at the chamber's highest point, but now it was flanked by 5 other massive beings, each representing the Council's most powerful military species. Humanity's actions have forced us to consider options we hope to avoid, the Archon began. You have demonstrated tactical capabilities that concern us. You have positioned assets throughout our territory. You have allied with dissenting voices within our own ranks. These actions cannot stand unanswered. Marcus tensed. This was the moment they had prepared for, but hoped to avoid. Therefore, the Archon continued, the Council has voted to activate the Judgment Fleet. It is currently stationed at our military stronghold in the Kelver sector, 300 light-years from Earth. It will take 15 standard cycles for the fleet to reach your solar system. This is your final warning. Submit to Council authority, surrender your weapons technology, and agree to permanent monitoring, or face complete eradication. The chamber remained silent. No cheering this time. Even the species that supported this action seemed somber. The Judgment Fleet had only been deployed twice in Council history. Both times, entire civilizations had been wiped from existence. Elena stood slowly, using her sword as support. The gesture made her look even more frail, more vulnerable. Perfect. 15 cycles, she said softly. That's how long it will take your fleet to reach Earth? Correct, the Archon confirmed. Use that time to reconsider your position. I think you should reconsider yours, Elena replied. She activated a new holographic display. This one showed the galaxy's major trade routes, the lanes of commerce that connected thousands of worlds. Along these routes, small green dots appeared. Hundreds of them. Thousands. What are those? Torin asked. Defensive platforms, Marcus explained. Each one equipped with the same dimensional technology as Elena's sword and Luna Station. We've been seeding them throughout the galaxy for the past 20 years. They're cloaked, hidden from your sensors, placed strategically along every major trade route, near every critical resource point, in orbit around every significant manufacturing world. The Archon's form flickered. You're lying. Such an operation would require resources beyond any single species' capacity. It required patience, Elena countered, and secrecy, and the willingness to invest decades into ensuring our survival. Every human trade vessel that passed through these sectors carried components. Every tourist group included engineers. Every diplomatic mission involved surveillance and placement. We've been preparing foe. Our this moment since we first realized the galaxy was hostile. General Vox's voice rumbled from his position. Even if this is true, you cannot maintain such a network. The power requirements alone would be astronomical. Each platform is self-sustaining, Elena explained. They draw energy from the quantum foam of space itself, a technology we developed from theoretical physics your species abandoned centuries ago. They require no maintenance, no resupply, no external power source. They will function for thousands of years. Marcus picked up the explanation. Here's what happens when your judgment fleet launches. Every single one of these platforms activates, not to attack, but to displace. They will remove sections of space along all major trade routes. Not permanently, just for 90 days. Your ships won't be able to use standard faster-than-light corridors. Trade between sectors will stop. Food shipments will be delayed. Medical supplies will be stranded. Manufacturing will halt. Your economy will collapse within weeks. You would doom billions of innocents to prove a point. The Serpentine delegate demanded. We would ensure mutual destruction, Elena replied coldly. If Earth falls, the galaxy falls with us. That's not a threat. It's a promise. We've created a dead man switch woven into the fabric of galactic civilization. You need us alive now. The Archon seemed to shrink, its liquid metal form compressing. This is madness. You would hold the entire galaxy hostage. You were going to exterminate us, Marcus pointed out. Is our response really disproportionate? We're offering survival for everyone, coexistence. You're offering annihilation. Which position is truly mad? Vex the Talnari spoke again. The Archon is correct. The humanity has created an untenable situation. But the Archon also created this situation by refusing reasonable accommodation. Both sides have escalated beyond rational discourse. Then let's return to rational discourse, Elena suggested. She waved her hand, and the holographic display shifted. The green dots representing platforms faded slightly. These systems can be deactivated, not destroyed, but placed into dormant mode. We're willing to do that as a gesture of good faith, but only if the Council agrees to our original terms. Recognition as an independent sovereign power, freedom to expand within unclaimed territories, and a binding treaty that prevents Council enforcement action against Earth. You ask for equality with species who have existed for millennia. The Archon said. We ask for survival, Elena corrected. Everything else is negotiable. The Council chamber exploded into debate again. This time, the lines were clearly drawn. Hardliners demanded Earth's destruction regardless of cost. Moderates argued for negotiation. Dissenting voices, led by Torin and others, called for fundamental reform of Council structure. Then General Vox made his final play. Enough of this political theater. He drew a plasma weapon, its energy coils glowing. I will not let one frail human woman dictate terms to the greatest military power in the galaxy. The weapon charged. Elena didn't move. She didn't reach for her sword. She simply stood there, looking impossibly small and vulnerable, while a weapon capable of vaporizing a combat vehicle powered up to fire at her. Marcus lunged to intervene. The other advisors drew their own weapons, but they were too slow. Vok was a veteran of 47 campaigns. His reflexes were honed by centuries of combat. The weapon fired, and Torin threw herself between. Elena and the blast dot, the plasma bolt struck the crystalline ambassador square in the chest. Her body shattered, fragments scattering across the platform. But her sacrifice bought a crucial second. Security forces from multiple species rushed forward. Vok found himself surrounded, weapons trained on him from every angle. Elena knelt beside the shattered fragments of Torin's body. Some pieces still pulsed with faint light. Why? She whispered. A weak voice emanated from the largest fragment. Because someone had to prove not everyone has forgotten honor. Tell my people ... the Kellish unity ... they are free to choose their own path now. The light in the crystal faded. Torin was gone. Elena stood slowly, her frail body shaking with rage she couldn't fully suppress. She looked at the Archon, at Vok, at the assembled council. You see this? This is what your system creates. Fear and violence. Species so desperate to maintain power that they murder those who speak against them. Is this the galaxy you want? The Archon seemed unable to respond. For the first time in its existence, it had no protocol for this situation. Marcus stepped forward, his diplomatic mask fully dropped, replaced by cold fury. General Vok just murdered a council ambassador in the middle of proceedings. If you don't act now, you prove Elena right. You prove that the council is nothing but tyranny wrapped in bureaucratic language. 6 more species stood and walked to join the human delegation. The representatives of the Kellish unity, followed by 5 others, moved to stand beside Elena. We are with humanity, they declared in unison. The council must reform, or we will leave it. The Archon's form began to collapse in on itself. This is the end of everything we've built. No, Elena said quietly. She looked at the fragment of crystal that had been Torin. This is the beginning of something better, but only if you're willing to let go of the past. The chamber fell silent. The judgment fleet was still coming. The platforms were still active. But something fundamental had shifted. The galaxy had just watched a species sacrifice itself for principles. And it had watched the Council's greatest general commit murder out of fear. Whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. The aftermath of Torin's death changed everything. Within hours, protests erupted on Kellish homeworld. Within days, 12 more species formally withdrew from Council oversight. The Archon tried to maintain order, but the Foundation had cracked. Elena attended Torin's memorial service, held on the Council station according to Kellish tradition. Thousands of crystalline beings gathered, their combined harmonics creating a song of mourning that made humans weep, despite not understanding the language. The Kellish elder speaker approached Elena afterward. Ambassador Torin chose her death, the elder said, her aged crystal form clouded with grief. She saw an opportunity to make her beliefs concrete. In our culture, such sacrifice carries great weight. The Kellish unity will honor her choice by standing with humanity. I never wanted anyone to die for us, Elena replied. She did not die for you, the elder corrected gently. She died for the idea that the galaxy can be better than it is. You simply gave her a cause worth dying for. The council reconvened 3 days later. General Vok was in custody, awaiting trial for murder. The chamber felt different now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by uncertainty. The Archon's liquid metal form moved slowly, as if weighed down by invisible burdens. The Judgment Fleet has been recalled, the Archon announced. The Council has voted to establish a diplomatic committee to negotiate new terms with Earth and the Kellish Unity. This is unprecedented in Council history. Marcus stood to respond, but Elena touched his arm. Let me. She walked to the center of the platform. Without the containment field active, she seemed even smaller than before, a fragile human woman surrounded by beings who could crush her without effort. But her voice carried absolute authority. The Kellish Unity and Earth propose a new galactic structure, not a replacement for the Council, but an expansion. 3 governing bodies instead of 1. The Council of Ancients, representing established powers and maintaining traditional authority. The Assembly of Sovereign Worlds, where independent species like Earth and the Kellish Unity participate as equals. And the Forum of Emerging Civilizations, giving younger species representation without requiring full membership. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Archon's form rippled. You propose fracturing 10,000 years of unified government. I propose making it actually unified, Elena countered. Your current system creates resentment. Species either submit completely or face destruction. There's no middle ground. We're offering middle ground. Multiple paths to participation. Multiple voices in galactic affairs. Is that really so radical? Vex the Talnari floated down from the upper tiers. The Talnari Collective has remained neutral for 8 centuries because we found the Council's structure limiting. We would support such a reform. It addresses legitimate concerns while maintaining stability. Other voices joined in. Not all supportive, but many willing to discuss the idea. The galaxy was changing, and those who recognized it adapted. Those who didn't would be left behind. The negotiations took 43 standard days. Elena spent most of that time in a medical facility, her body finally surrendering to the stress it had endured. Marcus handled the political maneuvering with surprising skill, but he consulted with Elena daily, bringing proposals to her bedside for review. On day 44, the Council formally ratified the new structure. Earth and the Kellish Unity became co-founders of the Assembly of Sovereign Worlds. 23 other species joined within the first week. The Forum of Emerging Civilizations opened to applicants, offering a path to galactic participation without requiring surrender of independence. The Archon, to everyone's surprise, supported the reforms. Change was inevitable, it admitted in a private meeting with Elena. You simply accelerated what would have taken centuries. Perhaps that's for the best. Elena returned to Earth 3 months after the Council hearings began. Luna Station had been restored to its dormant state, though everyone knew it could reactivate instantly if needed. The dimensional platforms remained in place, insurance against future threats. A memorial had been constructed at United Earth headquarters. It honored the 2 billion humans who died in the Void Reaper attack 2 centuries earlier, the event that had shaped humanity's cautious approach to the galaxy. Elena visited it on her first day back, moving slowly with the assistance of a walking support frame. A young girl approached her there, maybe 12 years old, wearing the uniform of Earth's Junior Diplomatic Corps. Are you really Elena Voss? The one who faced the whole Council? Elena smiled tiredly. I am. They say you saved humanity. That you were the strongest warrior we had. Elena knelt down, ignoring the pain in her joints. No, I wasn't the strongest. I was actually one of the weakest. My body has been fragile my whole life. I can barely walk without help most days. But strength isn't just about muscles or weapons. It's about refusing to surrender. It's about protecting what matters, even when you're terrified. But you had that amazing sword, the girl said. The sword helps, Elena admitted. But it's just a tool. The real weapon was up here. She tapped her temple. And in here, she touched her chest. Courage and intelligence matter more than physical power. Remember that. Marcus found her an hour later, still at the memorial. The Assembly is asking if he'll serve as Earth's primary representative. You'd be based at the new headquarters on Neutral Station Kepler Prime. I'm tired, Marcus, Alina said quietly. I just want to rest. I know. But you started something important. The galaxy needs voices like yours. Patient voices. Wise voices. Voices that understand both strength and restraint. Elena looked up at the monument, at the names of 2 billion dead carved into stone. They died because we weren't ready, because we were weak and unprepared. Everything I've done was to make sure that never happens again. And it won't, Marcus assured her. Because of you. Because of what you built. But now we need to build something more. Not just weapons and defenses. Actual cooperation. Real partnerships. Can you help with that? Elena was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. One more assignment. Then I retire to a nice quiet colony world where no one knows my name. Marcus laughed. Deal. Though I doubt anywhere in the galaxy doesn't know your name by now. They walked together back toward the transport that would take Elena to her next briefing. Behind them, the memorial stood silent, a reminder of why humanity had become what it was. Ahead lay an uncertain future, but for the first time in centuries, it was a future humanity would face as equals among the stars. The frail woman with the impossible sword had rewritten the rules of galactic power, not through conquest or domination, but through determination and the willingness to risk everything for survival. The galaxy would remember her name for millennia, but Elena herself would remember something else. The sound of Torin's crystal body shattering, the sacrifice that proved some ideals were worth dying for. That memory would guide her through the years to come. A reminder that strength without honor was just tyranny, and power without compassion was just cruelty. The human species had proven their might to the galaxy. Now they would prove something harder. Their wisdom dot as Elena boarded the transport. She looked back one final time at Earth, blue and green and beautiful, hanging against the darkness of space. The world that had created her, shaped her, sent her to face an entire galaxy with nothing but determination and a sword that bent. Reality, worth protecting, she whispered to herself. Then she stepped through the hatch and began the next chapter of humanity's story among the stars. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.